My boyfriend cheated on his ex with me and I just found out. My boyfriend and I met on Omegle. There was an instant connection between us and we talked for hours. Our common neurodivergence allowed us to understand each other in a way that we've never experienced with other people. One of the topics we talked about was relationships/love, where he mentioned that he was currently seeing someone, but made it sound casual and non-exclusive. He expressed attraction towards me, and because I felt it was safe to assume he was single, I engaged in the flirtation. At the end of the night, we agreed to stay in contact via social media. We started messaging every day and then talking on the phone every night. During that time, he ended things with the other girl because he said he wanted to focus on me. I had a pre-planned trip to a city near him that was scheduled for the following month, and he wanted to meet me there. We had an amazing time together, and got along even better in person. He asked me to be his girlfriend and we started doing long distance. During his most recent visit to me, I looked through his phone and saw old text messages between him and a girl, let's call her D. Based on the timeline, I presumed her to be the girl he was seeing when we first met. He does not like to dwell on the past, so he's never told me her name or anything about her. Therefore, I still had no confirmation of whether D was who I thought she was. My curiosity drove me to ask him for the name of the girl he was talking to before me, and what he told me was not the name D, so I left the conversation at that. A few days later, I was curious who D was, so I flat out asked who is D. He asked me how I got that name and I told him I saw it on his phone. He was upset about me snooping through his phone without his knowledge, but confessed that D was the girl he was seeing before me. He had lied to me the other day by telling me a fake name. He said he did that because he didn't want me going to social media to try and find D. I was upset that he had lied to me. I didn't really care about the subject matter of the lie, but rather the principle of lying. I've been cheated on and lied to in previous relationships, and it is extremely hard for me to regain trust with someone once it is broken. Prior to this incident, I trusted my boyfriend wholeheartedly and he insisted that he would never lie to me. Now I was spiraling and wondering what else he has lied to me about. Seeing how upset I was, he told me that he had one final thing to confess. He told me that he had actually dated D, meaning that they were in a relationship when he and I met, and he basically cheated on her with me. However, he said that during that time, he had already realized that D was not a good match for him and he was not speaking to her while trying to figure out how to break up with her. After learning this, I was absolutely devastated. I felt disgusted by his actions and deeply saddened. I even had to talk about it with my therapist. I felt that my boyfriend could have gone about the whole situation better, i.e. establish a friendship with me, end things with D, then pursue his romantic interest in me. I do believe my boyfriend is a good person. I've dealt with manipulators before, and I can tell that is not his nature. He truly loves me, and is adamant that he would never be disloyal towards me. He wants a future with me, and he values me and our relationship. Because of these factors, I decided to accept and try to move forward with our relationship, but I want to know if I should have done anything differently. How can we move past this? Do you think his actions can be justified? He also says it was wrong for me to go through his phone, which under different circumstances I would agree, but I'm so grateful that I learned the truth. Hard truths will always be better than pretty lies. It's been a month since those things came to light and my trust towards him is still not fully restored. Some days I think it would be easier if I had left him, but I know relationships involve lots of forgiveness and grace, which is hard work. Comment. I wonder if Dee would have said the same thing before she found out she was the last person to know he'd moved on. And being with you clearly hasn't done anything to change the fact that his first instinct when confronted with something he doesn't want to deal with is to avoid the problem, or he'd have been honest who she was the first time you asked, so I don't know why you're so prepared to take his word for it that he really has learned his lesson this time and won't do it again. You should have dumped him for being a liar and a cheater. You've been the D in other relationships? How can you just let this BS stand? You'd be a fool to ever trust him. You've been with cheaters before, so you should have learned this. How you get them is how you lose them. He'll cheat on you, you're not special, you're just new. No. People of integrity finish one relationship before they start a new one. They put off their lust and rose-colored glasses for long enough to do the right thing. What your dick/pussy can't wait a few days while you break up with your current BF/GF? How little self-control must someone have to do this? Next story 2. I feel ambivalent towards my 4-year relationship. Have you ever felt ambivalent about a relationship? My boyfriend and I have been together almost 4 years. Last year we almost broke up after a period of intense arguments, sex drive differences and general contempt. While we reconciled at the time and made some improvements, it's now been a year and we've fallen back into bad habits, and I honestly feel ambivalent about the relationship. I of him and the life we have built together, and I think we are better than where we were a year ago. But my trust has eroded over time as he has fallen into old habits. He's neglected his health, weight gain, and he can sometimes be a very negative person to be around. The fun and positive times I still feel in the back of my mind like I'm walking on eggshells. On the flip side, he's very happy with how things are going, at least our relationship, and is pushing for us to start looking to buy a house next year. We have couples therapy coming up and I really don't know what I should say. I want to think we can fix our issues and move forward together, but I also am losing hope that he even sees these things as issues. Yesterday when it came up I said I was looking forward to trying therapy to get an outside perspective on our relationship. He said he didn't want to go, it's probably a waste of time and he's only going because I am making him. He thinks he's going to be thrown under the bus and that I'm just going to throw all his flaws in his face. This is not my intention to just rant and complain, but I don't know what I should say. I'm not going to be happy long term the way things are right now. Comment. You've said quite a lot in your post. Not having trust that your partner will do what he says, his negativity and poor health choices, and the fact that you feel you have to be on eggshells, even at your best times, are all very valid points. Couples therapy is about being open and honest, getting it all out there so you can truly work on improving the relationship. If he's not willing to hear how you really feel, even if it's negative feelings towards him, he's not actually serious about wanting you to feel better in the relationship. Yeah, contempt and ambivalence and a lack of attraction, sounds like this has run its course. Things came to a head a year ago, and now again. If you feel you gave it an honest shot, then you should break up and move on. I left my partner of a decade because he wasn't attracted to me anymore and it became untenable. I'm a stocky dude and thrilled by it, and so are a ton of other people who aren't him. After a period of time, we became friends again. I'll always have love for him, but he's happier and I'm happier. What you don't want is the status quo to just linger for a decade until it's a toxic mess. This kinda reads like you're over it but are looking for some semblance of hope from an outside source before you just throw in the towel. My opinion is this. If you're checked out and you kinda low-key know it already, just go. Do yourself a favor. Do your partner a favor and just break up. Couples therapy sometimes is too little too late. If you're not like hell yes, I wanna be with you and I wanna fix this, then it's a lot of exhausting work that isn't really always needed and ends up in the same place. Don't stay just cause you've put 4 years in already, or feel like you owe it to him. Or see very small fragments of change. Stay only if you wanna stay. Leave if you feel like you could take it or leave it. Take him or leave him. And if buying a house together sound in any way absurd at this time to you. Next story 3. I'm anxious about seeming boring to my BF. It's the first time ever that I live in the same city as my BF. Now we see each other every weekend when before we used to see each other one in a month or every 2 months. My whole life I've been alone. I'm so used to have my leisure time for just myself and do my boring lonely people activities. We text every day, but I didn't have to think about what to do with him. Now that we see each other so much, I'm anxious about what to do with him. I don't have many ideas because I'm not used to do much with people, and I have this constant feeling of being boring and that he's going to get tired. I love films and I try to watch one a day. When we see each other, this is one of the things we do, or go for dinner, but I don't have much more ideas, and this is going to start to get repetitive. There's not much to do in the town I live, and this doesn't help neither. It makes me sad that I might be irreversibly a person that's only fit to be alone. On top of this, he makes more money than me and makes such nice plans with his friends. Feels like he's not going to be impressed about anything I could possibly do. How can I overcome this situation? What activities can help me get out of my boring couple routine? Comment. If he thinks you can only have fun by spending money, then he's not worth your time. One should count the time they spend with their loved ones as precious, even if it's a totally cost-free activity, like sitting together and listening to music. You aren't alone in this relationship. You don't have to be the only one to be coming up with plans and activities. Talk to him and ask him what he'd like to do with you. He should be able to provide ideas and solutions as much as you would. You aren't destined to be alone just because you prefer more introverted activities. This is who you are, and your partner should respect that. If he is more extroverted, then you guys should work a way to meet in the middle. None should change who they are for the other. You could try simple stuff like, if you're going to watch a French movie, then also make French dinner to have a theme movie night. You could also do picnics, hikes, go swimming, or other outdoor activities if that's something you'd like. You could also do one-day trips once in a while to nearby places that offer more activities than your town. You are not boring and you deserve your me time. If you guys have a solid relationship and are into each other, it shouldn't really matter whether you're skydiving or just walking around the neighborhood together. Most couples aren't out having thrilling adventures every single weekend, but doing stuff like cooking brunch together, going for walks, running errands together, sitting in the park, and just, hanging out in more casual ways. I think it's cool you want to come up with interesting ideas, but please don't put pressure on yourself to make every single weekend action-packed. The point of meeting up is to hang out, not to be his tour guide. So, maybe check out a weird vintage store together, or bookstore, or find a local hiking trail, or go for a drive in the country, or make a picnic in the park. If you're not a person who normally enjoys wild adventurous outings all the time, it doesn't make sense to pretend to be that person for your boyfriend's sake. If it's not enjoyable to just share a meal or people watch together, if there has to be some form of entertainment or else you have nothing to say to each other, then perhaps you're not the best match for one another.